Paulo here. Mid-June, northwest Massachusetts, interior New England. Where's Paco? Paco is busy building a sandcastle, even though today's topic is the enticing and dangerous world of plants with umbel flowers. What is an umbel? Well, an umbel is a cluster of flowers that comprise multiple small stems that start out from the main point on the main stem, like umbrella ribs. Many of the plants with umbels have white flowers. Many of them are in the parsley family. Some of them are edible, wild carrot. Some of them are not. Poison hemlock. Do not confuse wild carrot with poison hemlock. Once you know wild carrot, it's easy not to, but take along your guide. Those that we'll be looking at today, two of them in particular. One is a member of the parsley family, and the other is a member of the honeysuckle family. And that one, your cat might or might not be happy with. And here we have one emanating from this single stem. You have multiple little stemlets that each lead to an umblet. And each umblet, in this case, comprises, about 15 to 20 flowers. This one here is an invasive species called bishop's weed, also known as goutweed. So bishop's weed, well, now by mid-June, it's definitely flowering all over the place. This invasive species, this plant hated by so many gardeners. But you know what? I'll confess I've never tried this, but apparently the young leaves, the leaves before the flowers appear, can be added to soup. One consideration, if you wait until the flowers appear and then try the leaves, well, they will be a bit pungent, maybe too pungent for your taste, and they may have a laxative effect. So think twice about trying these leaves once the flowers appear. And think twice about trying them unless you're positive that this is bishop's weed and not, say, for example, water hemlock, because you don't want to make that mistake. We're in search of a plant that we're not going to eat, but that our cat might enjoy. There's Paco sitting by the river. Well, Paulo wants to get on, move on. Paulo is on a schedule. Paco, mercifully free of such thoughts. Well, everyone, it wasn't easy, but after, close to a half hour of searching, we found that plant whose roots may have a sedative effect. Say many people believe it does have a sedative effect. Whether science has proven that to science's satisfaction is another question, but a sedative effect, perhaps an anti-anxiety effect. Extracts of its roots are used in herbal medicines in particular. Aside from that quality, this plant's roots are apparently really interesting for cats. Valerian. So here we are, valerian. Now, first sight, you might think, oh, it does look a bit like bishop's weed or wild carrot. Flowers growing in umbels, but notice not quite the same way as you would find, for example, on bishop's weed or on wild carrot, because we have the flowers growing off of several stems toward the top of the plant. But in the case of valerian, the leaves come directly off the side of the stem, opposite each other. And notice that each leaf is comprised of at least 10 leaflets, each of them a little bit toothed, with a single leaflet at the top there pointing off outward. The stem of the plant is grooved, quite a bit like celery, not hairy. So this is valerian. And again, if you confuse it with poison hemlock or water hemlock and you take it home to have your cat try some of the root, well, that might have disastrous effects on your cat. And you might not even want to be touching poison hemlock or water hemlock much yourself. So make sure that you identify this correctly. So Paco has dug these up. Here are the roots. Notice they're kind of purplish toward the bottom. We're going to take this home and try it out on our cat. Ah, there we are. There's a nice example of a root. And I'll try smelling some flowers. Apparently they're fragrant, we'll soon see. I'm first taking a look to make sure I won't suck a little insect up my nose and into my brain. Oh, really pleasant smell. Kind of mildly sweet. So, now we're home. How does valerian root affect cats? We should ask ourselves before doing our cat test on our cat. Well, for one thing, it doesn't affect all cats, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. It affects cats much the same way as catnip, supposedly. Meowing, chin and cheek rubbing, drooling, rolling, licking. The effects are not long lasting, so no worries. Your cats will not be eating valerian root. It's really the essential oils that will be affecting them. And if you have a kitten, it might not even be old enough to be noticeably affected by valerian root. And here we have Paco busy chopping up valerian root. Here we are chopping it up finely there, okay? And we'll just give her a bit and see what happens. Here we have the subject of our experiment, Mrs. Robinson, aka Shorty. We'll explain how she got those names some other time. She's 5.5, female, as her name suggests, spayed. She is about to experience something she's never experienced before. Okay, let's
put it down on the ground.
see what happens here, okay? Oh, valerian root experiment begins. Go ahead, Mrs. Robinson. What are you about to do? There she is. Now she has a chance to get to know this valerian root.
She doesn't care anymore.
Does she care? Hey, Mrs. Robinson.
Aww.
Yes. It's valerian root. Okay, now an experiment. We're doing catnip over here, valerian root there. Oh.
See, she enjoys the catnip.
Well, she does seem fairly happy about the catnip. Okay, valerian root. Come on, don't you want some? Let's see what that does to you, huh? Nothing much? Maybe we can close for today with Mrs. Robinson. Just sort of contemplating in her own cat-like way her proximity to valerian root. Have a good afternoon, Mrs. Robinson. Bye.